Hey everybody, Shailene here for your next DBT tip. I wanted to thank those of you who gave me feedback on the tip last week and found it helpful and shared with other colleagues. So please do more of that. I love to hear the feedback and questions and comments that you have. So today's tip is about missing links analysis and behavior chain analysis. So generally we're using a missing link analysis. I would say it's pretty popular in group, right? Like if somebody doesn't have their homework, if an effective behavior that was supposed to happen is missing, then we go through the missing link analysis. One of the things that I find helpful to shape clients into that is to constantly have everyone turn to the missing link analysis page whenever someone's missing homework. And then they start to get the idea that, number one, that a missing links analysis is going to be done. But two, they start to figure out their own behavior in a way that's more effective because they're learning how to analyze their own behavior, which is what we want them to do as DBT therapists. So going back to my original point, missing link analysis is going to be when effective behavior is missing. And generally behavior chain analysis is going to be on a behavior that happened but was not effective. And so when do we combine the two of them? And I'm unofficially calling this the missing link to behavior chain jump switch. I don't think that's a technical term, but that's how I'm going to remember it. And when this feels relevant is a time in which, maybe you're doing missing link after missing link and the behavior is just not changing. And so let's consider what are the components or the questions that show up in a missing link analysis. Were you clear on what you had to do? Were you willing to do it? And did you remember to do it? And if the answer is yes to all of those, then it's like, okay, well, what got in the way? And so sometimes those might be things that are pretty easily solved, especially if we're in group and we don't have a ton of time. We're just kind of getting the answer, what would you differently, and move on. But let's say you're in individual session and you're following up on your client who keeps missing their homework, or maybe you're even using this in your own life. I'm sure I can think of a ton of different examples where the behavior still needs to be analyzed on the other end. And then here comes the jump switch where we start out with a missing link analysis and then we transition over to a chain. So a behavior that I was thinking about was running late. And they do a similar example to this in the Linehan skills teaching book. So let's say, for example, I ran late to my brother's birthday party, which is relevant because we just threw him a surprise birthday party. People were late and I, as a DBT therapist, was like, we need to analyze this. This is a big deal, people. I did not, for everyone's sake. But let's say I'm running late, right? So was I clear on what time the party started? Yes, I knew what time it started. Was I willing to get there at that time? Sure. Did I remember? Sure. Okay, so now we're moving over to analyze the behavior. Now again, think about increasing intensity here. So if this is a behavior that happens over and over and over, despite all of the solutions that come out of a missing link analysis, maybe it's time for a jump switch to a behavior chain analysis and examine this a little bit more in depth. So what do I think the prompting behavior might have been? When did I first realize that I was going to be late to the event? Well, I was in the shower, and while I was in the shower, problems of 2022. My Apple Watch went off while I was in the shower and I got a text message, and that text message started to distract me. And so getting out of the shower, instead of spending 15 minutes getting ready that I allotted for myself, I instead started solving this problem, picked up my phone as soon as I got out of the shower, started texting, and then instead of having this extra 15 minutes to get ready, I actually had 3 minutes to get ready because I spent so much time on my phone, got further distracted, and I of course, in doing a behavior chain analysis, I would ask more questions around, and what were you thinking? And what were you feeling? Well, I thought to myself, as I was responding to this, I shouldn't be doing this right now. I might be late. I thought to myself about, why am I checking my phone when I'm in the bathroom out of the shower? This is a behavior that I'd like to change. So I was having judgments about myself, and I started getting anxious. I started feeling my heart race around the fact that I might be late to his surprise party and just ruin the whole surprise for everyone. So therapist continues to ask questions to get them through the behavior chain and then finds the areas to pivot to a solution analysis. Where am I going to get the most bang for my buck in changing these behaviors? And so maybe my solutions will focus around keeping my phone out of the bathroom, turning my watch on do not disturb while wearing it in the shower. So that way the distractions are minimized. And of course, I still want to make sure that I'm going through the consequences of that behavior, how it might have harmed others. Are there any places that I need to repair to brother, family, and overcorrect my behavior? and kind of announce, this is the new thing that I'm going to be doing in order to make sure that this chronically late behavior doesn't happen again. So keep this in mind. Let me know in comments or in emails or on social media where you might be using the jump switch from missing link analysis to behavior chain analysis and how that's helpful to you. Take care, everyone. I'll see you next time for the next tip.